Welcome, brave souls, to a journey into the unknown. Today we step into the shadows of a seemingly ordinary school bathroom, where the lines between reality and the supernatural are blurred. Prepare for a tale of whispers, shadows, and an unexplained presence that will send shivers down your spine. Whispers from the shadows, uncovering the haunting secret of our school bathroom.
In the dimly lit school toilet, an ordinary day took an eerie turn. The sterile fluorescent lights overhead emitted a faint, eerie hum as I stood performing the mundane act of washing my hands. It was one of those moments when the simplicity of routine tasks offered a semblance of solace, the steady flow of water over my fingers a brief respite. As I lingered at the sink, a disturbing sound pierced the air, an eerie, faint sound, clear and disturbing, emanating from one of the stalls behind me. My heart skipped a beat and I hesitated, my hand hovering over the tap. It was not the kind of sound that could be easily dismissed. It was the kind that sent shivers down your spine. At first, I considered the possibility that it might be another student entering the bathroom, engaged in some strange endeavor or suppressing a laugh. But the disturbing sound persisted, refusing to go away. It was a low, guttural moan, reminiscent of someone in agony. The sound seemed to reverberate off the walls, creating an unsettling echo throughout the otherwise empty toilet. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead, and I found myself unable to look away from the stall where the sound was coming from. My curiosity battled my instinct to flee, and I approached with cautious trepidation. My trainers made soft, eerie squeaks against the tiled floor as I approached. The stall door was slightly ajar, and I couldn't resist pushing it open just a fraction more. Inside the stall, the lighting was dim and the atmosphere oppressively dense. I peered in, half expecting to see a fellow student in distress. To my dismay, the cabin was empty, devoid of life. There was nothing but a toilet and a dirty, cracked mirror. The ominous moaning had ceased, replaced by a weighty silence that hung in the air. My eyes fixed on the closed lid of the toilet, my heart pounding in my chest. A disconcerting feeling of unease washed over me, and I took a cautious step back, struggling with the mystery of the situation. Perhaps it was a mere trick of my overactive imagination, a specter conjured from the recesses of my mind. But as I turned to leave, a fleeting movement caught my attention, a fleeting flicker of movement in the recesses of the corner of the mirror. In a state of astonishment, I turned back towards the stall, my gaze fixed on the phenomenon, a nebulous shadow, obscure and elusive, like a ghost darting stealthily from one edge of the stall to the other, as if to evade my watchful eyes. I blinked, at first dismissing it as a mere optical illusion. But on closer inspection, the shadow persisted, its ethereal dance continuing within the dim confines. Fear surged through me, a primal fear that transcended reason. My legs felt heavy, as if held by some unseen force, and I found myself unable to tear my eyes away from the elusive specter. Then, as abruptly as it had materialized, the shadow disappeared. The stall reverted to its desolate state, and the toilet once again succumbed to its eerie silence. Frozen in place, I struggled with the incomprehensible nature of my encounter. Something had been there with me, something unseen, something beyond rational explanation. With trembling hands, I finally summoned the will to turn and leave the bathroom. I dared not look back, my racing heart urging me on. The specter of that eerie encounter clung to my mind, an indelible and haunting memory. As I emerged from the toilet, I let out a breath I had not realized I was holding. I needed to confide in someone, to reveal the bizarre event and seek clarification. I hurriedly crossed the corridor, my search for a teacher or someone of authority consuming my thoughts. At last I spotted a teacher talking to a fellow student at the end of the corridor. I sprinted towards her, my voice trembling as I begged her for help. The teacher turned to me, concern etched on her features, and inquired as to the cause of my distress. Tears welled in my eyes as I struggled to articulate the inexplicable. I recounted the strange sounds echoing in the bathroom, the elusive dance of the shadow, and the overwhelming sense of fear that had enveloped me. But as I spoke, the teacher's expression gradually changed from sympathy to skepticism. She cast a dubious glance towards the bathroom door behind me before turning her gaze back to me. "Are you sure no one else was in the toilet with you?" she asked, a hint of doubt in her voice. I nodded vehemently, my voice shaking as I insisted, "I swear, I was the only occupant." "You must believe me." The teacher glanced at the pupil beside her before she let out a sigh. "It's probably just a figment of your imagination, a trick of the mind," she comforted, her tone reassuring but dismissive. The rigors of school life can be taxing, and sometimes our minds conjure up illusions. Return to your class and you will surely find solace. I begged her to investigate, to examine the bathroom, but she refused, refusing to entertain the idea any further. In her eyes, I was just a frightened student, my reaction an exaggerated response to a situation with a rational explanation. Defeated and disheartened, I turned and left, leaving the teacher behind. I never ventured into that bathroom again. The memory of that enigmatic encounter lingered in my mind for weeks, even months. It refused to relinquish its hold on me, a testament to the inexplicable, a disturbing reminder that the truest horrors are often the unseen ones, those that lurk in the shadows, just beyond the limits of comprehension. Weeks had passed since that harrowing encounter in the school toilet, but the memory remained an insidious specter, constantly gnawing at my thoughts. I could not dismiss it as a mere figment of my imagination. There was an undeniable presence in that stall, an enigma that defied rational explanation. Day and night it haunted my consciousness, a relentless reminder of the uncanny. I scrupulously avoided the accursed toilet, diverting my course to other facilities on campus, whatever the inconvenience. I could not bear the thought of returning to that eerie place, where the fluorescent lights overhead hummed with malevolent intent and the air itself seemed pregnant with unseen dread. My friends and fellow students noticed my strange behavior, casting curious glances in my direction and expressing concern. I could offer no adequate explanation, for who would believe the inexplicable story I had to tell? As the days bled into weeks, I became increasingly uneasy in my surroundings, as if my senses had been heightened, making me acutely aware of every shadow and whisper. Glimpses of movement, elusive and furtive, flickered at the periphery of my vision, shadows that danced and shifted beyond the realm of the visible. My dreams were plagued by disturbing visions, and sleep became an elusive refuge. One evening, hidden in the school library, that familiar feeling that the presence lurking at the edge of perception manifested itself once more. I tried to dismiss it as a figment of my imagination, chalking it up to an overactive mind. But then a sound, a faint whisper, like a gentle breeze rustling through the pages of a book. My eyes darted around the almost empty library, searching for the source of the inexplicable utterance. The whisper continued, growing in volume and clarity. It was as if someone was standing beside me, their voice a low murmur, barely audible. My heart raced as I struggled to decipher the words, a completely alien language, a mixture of guttural sounds and whispered syllables. I closed my textbook, fingers trembling, and turned slowly in my chair, half expecting to encounter someone or something. But the library was deserted, its corridors stretching empty before me, devoid of any human presence. I was alone, and yet the eerie whispering persisted, increasing in urgency. Fear washed over me as I hastily gathered my belongings, my hands shaking. I fled the library, the haunting whisper following me, growing more desperate, more insistent. It echoed in my ears, a relentless chorus, as I escaped the confines of that oppressive room. Sleep eluded me that night. The disturbing encounters had escalated in intensity. It was as if whatever had manifested in that school bathroom had taken hold of me and refused to let go. I felt like a prisoner of my own existence, trapped in a world where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural had dissolved. In desperation, I embarked on a quest to unravel the school's history, hoping that some hidden truth might shed light on the bizarre events. Late nights were spent poring over dusty yearbooks and scouring archived newspapers for any hint of strange occurrences within the school's confines. But my efforts yielded nothing but frustration, and I felt like I was chasing phantoms, grasping at shadows that defied capture. Desperation drove me to seek the advice of those who had encountered the paranormal. I joined online forums where individuals shared their own stories of encounters with the unknown. While many dismissed my experiences as the product of superstition or imagination, a few offered words of empathy and understanding. One user who identified himself as Seeker of Truth contacted me privately. They claimed expertise in the realm of the supernatural and offered to help me uncover the truth behind the mysterious presence that had infiltrated my life. As our correspondence progressed, Seeker of Truth urged me to face my fear, to revisit the school bathroom and attempt to communicate with whatever was there. The prospect was daunting and I was consumed by fear, but I knew I could not continue to live in perpetual fear. Guided by Seeker of Truth's advice, I mustered the courage to return to the cursed bathroom. The flickering, malevolent lights seemed to mock me, and the atmosphere hung heavy with foreboding. I took a deep breath and entered the stall, the one where the ordeal had begun, the one that had harbored the shadowy, intangible presence. As I stood there, my heart pounding, I whispered, "Is anyone here? Can you hear me?" There was silence, and the stall seemed devoid of life, just as it had been on that fateful day. But then, in the silence, I recognized it, the faintest whisper, like a distant echo. It was the same indecipherable language, the same eerie voice that had haunted me relentlessly. Tears welled in my eyes as I tried to make sense of the presence that had haunted me for so long. I begged for answers, for the slightest glimpse into the realm of the unseen. The whispers grew fainter, as if the presence was slipping away, retreating into the shadows. Desperation washed over me, and I refused to let this elusive mystery elude me once more. I repeated my pleas, my voice trembling but determined. Please, I must understand. Who are you? What do you want? The booth remained silent, but this time there was a subtle change, a dimming of the ambient light, a chilling breeze that rattled the edges of my consciousness. It was as if the presence was trying to communicate, but the veil between our worlds was insurmountable. Summoning the last of my courage, I closed my eyes and concentrated on the whispers, allowing them to envelop me. At that moment, I felt a surge of emotion, an overwhelming sadness, an unquenchable longing, and a deep despair. It was as if the presence was seeking release from some unfathomable torment. With newfound determination, I said, I want to help you. Tell me what you need and I will try to understand. A shudder ran through the stall and the whispers crescendoed, a cacophony of voices in a language both ancient and sinister. It was as if the presence was straining to get its message across, to bridge the gap between our worlds. And then, amidst the whispers, a single word emerged, clear and unmistakable: freedom. The word reverberated through my being, and I knew that this presence, whatever it was trapped between realms, trapped by some unseen force. It longed to break free, to escape its spectral prison and find release from its eternal torment. With a heavy heart, I vowed to help. I didn't know how or where to begin, but I could no longer ignore the cry for liberation. I stepped out of the stall and left the bathroom with a newfound sense of purpose. My quest to understand the inexplicable had taken an unexpected turn. I had made a connection with a presence that defied understanding, and the path ahead was uncertain. But one thing was clear: I could not turn away from the mystery that had entangled my life. I had to unravel the mysteries of the unseen, no matter how daunting the journey, for the enigmatic shadows held secrets that begged to be revealed. Days turned into weeks as I delved deeper into the mystery that had become my life's work. Seeker of Truth remained a steadfast guide, offering insights and knowledge beyond the boundaries of conventional understanding. Together we pieced together a narrative, a story of a restless spirit, a soul trapped in a liminal space between life and death. This spirit had been a student at the school long ago, and its tragic end had left it in a state of perpetual torment. It had wandered the halls seeking solace and understanding, but its existence had remained an obscure specter, forever yearning for release. With the guidance of Seeker of Truth, I embarked on a journey to uncover the truth of this lost soul's past. We delved into school records, unearthed forgotten archives, and even conducted interviews with long-retired staff who had fragments of the story buried deep in their memories. In our relentless search for answers, we gradually uncovered the tragic story of a pupil who had met an untimely end in the very bathroom where I had first encountered the unexplained presence. The details were harrowing: the tale of bullying, isolation, and a life cut short by cruelty. Armed with this knowledge, I returned to the bathroom once more with the guidance of Seeker of Truth. This time I carried with me not only a desire to understand, but also an offering, a heartfelt plea for forgiveness and a promise of help in finding the freedom the spirit sought. As I stood in the dimly lit toilet, I whispered the story of the lost soul, recounting the injustice it had suffered and the cruelty that had led to its demise. Tears welled up in my eyes as I conveyed my grief and compassion. The atmosphere seemed to change, and the whispers, once eerie and indistinct, became softer, almost gentle. It was as if the spirit was listening, acknowledging my words. I felt a presence, a sense of recognition, and in that moment I knew that our efforts were not in vain. Days turned into weeks, and under Seeker of Truth's guidance, we undertook a series of rituals designed to help the spirit find peace. Slowly but surely, the malevolent atmosphere in the bathroom began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of calm. One fateful day, as I stood in the bathroom once more, the presence made itself known in a different way. Instead of a whisper, it manifested as a warm, comforting embrace, a feeling of gratitude and release. Tears of relief streamed down my cheeks as I realized that the spirit had found the freedom it had sought for so long. It had crossed over to the other side, leaving behind the world of the living and the enigmatic shadows that had bound it. The bathroom, once a place of terror, became a symbol of redemption, a testament to the power of empathy and the determination to understand the inexplicable. The memory of that eerie encounter would forever be etched in my mind, but it was no longer a source of fear. Instead, it served as a reminder of the extraordinary journey that had led to the liberation of a restless soul. In the end, the mysterious shadows had revealed their secrets, and I had discovered a purpose beyond anything I could have imagined. The mysteries of the unseen had been unraveled, and in their place had emerged a profound sense of closure and peace. In my relentless quest to uncover the mysterious horrors lurking within the hidden dimensions, I found myself completely consumed. Days seemed to melt into weeks, and I became entangled in the relentless search for eldritch truths. Throughout this journey, Seeker of Truth remained my solitary guide, shedding dim light on the perilous path I was treading. Together we descended into the abyss of the occult, deciphering cryptic tomes and consulting those who had glimpsed the unfathomable. The unseen realm revealed itself as an incomprehensible abyss, where the boundary between the living and the dead eroded, and the echoes of forgotten horrors clung to our world like spectral phantasms. Then, one fateful night, after endless hours of arcane research, Seeker of Truth divulged a revelation, an utterly blasphemous theory about the malevolent presence that had haunted my existence. They whispered of a tortured soul, a spirit trapped between the mortal realm and the abyss, a wretched being denied its final redemption. According to Seeker of Truth, such benighted spirits often yearn to commune with the living, to convey their cryptic messages, or to seek solace from their eternal torment. In my case, it seemed that the entity was trying to reach me, using spectral whispers and shadowy manifestations as its only means of expression. Armed with this infernal knowledge, I once again ventured into the accursed school toilet, determined to make contact with the unseen terror. This time I carried a flickering candle and an ornate, malevolent mirror, a makeshift portal through which the entity might manifest itself. The candle lit and rested on the desolate sink, while the malevolent mirror found its place in the very stall where I had first encountered the lurking presence. With trembling hands, I whispered an incantation into the suffocating silence of the toilet. "Do you dwell here? Can you hear my pathetic plea?" The very air seemed to coalesce as I waited for an answer. And then, in the dim reflection of the eerie mirror, a revelation unfolded, a flicker of movement, a grotesque distortion of reality. The malevolent presence materialized as a writhing miasma in the reflective abyss. In hushed tones, I begged the entity to reveal its wretched tale, to share its cryptic revelations with me. Gradually, the formless miasma within the mirror began to take on a terrible form, coalescing into the hideous figure of a young woman, her face ethereal and eternally tormented. She reached out, her spectral hand passing through the cursed mirror as if to bridge the hideous gulf between our worlds. Her sad eyes welled with tears as she began to speak, her voice a mournful lament. She told the macabre story of her unfortunate fate, a life cut short by a malevolent force that lurked within the very walls of the school. She had languished in that abandoned toilet, ensnared by the inexorable chains of unfulfilled vengeance. I listened with a mixture of horror and compassion, my heart heavy with the weight of her accursed tale. I vowed to help her find the resolution she so desperately sought, to uncover the terrible truth behind her untimely demise. It was an undertaking fraught with peril, but with Seeker of Truth's infernal counsel, we began to piece together the sordid fragments of her tragic saga. Together we unraveled a perverse and hidden truth, a web of deceit and malice that had long hidden the truth from the world. It was a revelation that incriminated those who held secrets and power, individuals who had escaped retribution for eons. Armed with damning evidence and the haunting testimony of the spirit, I was aware of the need to reveal the truth, to bring justice to the one whose soul had been grievously wronged. It was a treacherous path, one that would test the boundaries that separate the living from the cursed, the seen from the unseen. As we prepared to reveal the sinister truth, I could not help but reflect on the agonizing odyssey that had led me to this precipice. The dangers lurking in the shadows were no longer a source of mere terror. They had become a crucible for metamorphosis, a grim reminder that the most unholy truths often remain hidden within the Stygian abyss. Ultimately, our quest for retribution would have consequences, both overt and hidden. Yet I stood resolute, ready to confront the abominations lurking in the darkness, to unlock the secrets of the unseen, and to offer vindication to a tortured mind. Amidst the cursed atmosphere of that malevolent school toilet, as the ghost's pitiful eyes remained fixed upon my miserable form, I understood that our journey was far from its miserable conclusion. Nevertheless, I remained steadfast in my resolve, determined to illuminate the malevolence hidden in the shadows and to unearth the forbidden truth that had remained veiled for unholy ages. And so the final chapter of our cursed odyssey was set in motion, a chapter of peril, revelation, and the relentless pursuit of justice in a world where the separation between the seen and the unseen had dissolved into a phantasmagoric nightmare. As we leave this enigmatic bathroom behind, we've uncovered the disturbing secrets it held. But our journey is far from over. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter in our search for truth in the world of the unseen. I am, and thank you for joining me on this terrifying adventure. Until next time, stay curious and never stop seeking the truth.